Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Clear Vista Financial are not affiliated.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Spend Life Well show. I'm your host, Mark Trice. I'm joined by my co-host today, Jesse Hamilton.
Hey.
We've been talking about the economy, inflation, all sorts of different things, but really going back to our verse, Luke 14, 28 through 32, I'm just going to read the first verse here. And suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are unable to finish it, everyone will sees it will ridicule you, saying, "This person began to build and wasn't able to finish." Jesse, have you ever started something, you got into it, and you realized that, this is not what I thought. I can't finish this.
Happens all the time. I'm known for projects that get started and don't get finished. So
right,
and I do a lot of that kind of stuff. But yes, I know exactly what that feels like.
Last week on the show, we talked about when I attempted my remodeling project of our house in Pittsburgh, and what a disaster it turned in to be. But a lot of people do the same things. They get in over their head and don't prepare for the future when it comes to retirement planning. And retirement is supposed to be the second half of life, right? It's supposed to be
the fun part.
The fun part, and it's when we get to do the things we've always wanted to do. And we may work, we may not work, but the point is that it's a different chapter in life. But nowhere in the Bible does except there is one verse in Genesis talking about an early retirement for some of the priests and stuff like that. But that's the only mention of retirement in Scripture. And the reality is we see so many people that come in and they don't have a plan for how they're going to get income, what they're going to do in their retirement, all sorts of different things. And oftentimes we're left to help them deal with what they have in order to get through retirement. But, really, when should you start planning for retirement? I mean, early in your 20s, right?
As early as possible.
At a minimum, you need to be talking to a financial advisor to help you prepare for those early stages of retirement. I'm not talking about saving money. If you haven't been saving money for retirement, when you get ready to retire, it's too late, right? So we recommend people that if you've been saving on your own, you need to talk to a financial advisor as soon as possible. But certainly you have to start getting in more detail, more granular about what the steps are I need to do to retire within at least 5 years prior to you wanting to retire. And really, that's too late, right? We don't want to discourage anyone. We want you to come in and see us or talk to a financial advisor where you are. But it's oftentimes those are the years that we start putting together the pieces to make sure that retirement will be comfortable, enjoyable, and what they envision. But Jesse, you're right. Start as early as you can. Start as soon as you get your first job. You start thinking about that for retirement.
Even if it's just a small amount, the fact that you're starting is going to pay off in huge multiplying ways later on in life. But we love doing that for people, even younger people, starting small accounts that give them the motivation to start saving for the future. That's an exciting thing for me. And I think for you too, Mark, just to see people planning now to make extremely beneficial things happen in their future.
Well, I know sometimes I've shared this, and I sometimes will go and teach classes at the high school level or whatever, but they're amazed. I always share the example of someone that started saving $1,000 a year when they were age 20, and they stop when they're age 30 and don't save another dime. But it's invested, getting a certain return and so forth over the years. And then a friend that decided that, in his 20s, they're not going to really save a lot because they want to enjoy it. It's their newfound freedom, all the different things there. And they start saving when they're 30, the same amount, $1,000 a year, and they keep saving until they're 65. All right. So you have one fella that that saved for 10 years straight, $1,000 a year, and then you had another one that waited 10 years, then started saving $1,000 a year, but kept doing it until they were 65. And the kids are always amazed when I ask them, it's like, so which one do you think has more money? And they're logically thinking that, well, the person that saved for nearly 35 years has got to have more money. But the reality is, when you look at the compound of interest, and this was the eighth wonder of the world, according to Albert Einstein, is compound interest. When you look at these things and see the person that started saving at age 20 for 10 years and then stopped will end up with more money than the person that waited until age 30 and saved for 35 years. That's phenomenal. A lot of people don't realize that. And one of the things that when my children started, I've got 3 teenagers now. 2 of them have been working. One of the requirements that I told them, I said, I don't care where you spend your money, but of course, we've taught them to tithe and do that first, but you're going to save a little bit for future goals, and you are going to set aside some for retirement. So every one of them starts in a Roth IRA and continues to do that in their first jobs. They can't fathom, because they're thinking, retirement, Dad, you're not even retired yet. Why do I need to be thinking about that? But they're going to get a head start, and hopefully they'll continue that practice for some time. So, Jesse, when we talk about comprehensive financial planning, when it comes to retirement planning, what are some of the things that go into that?
There's so many things that we help people with, but the word comprehensive financial planning might be intimidating to some people. Some of the things that are covered in that would be things like, you've already talked about income, planning where your income is going to come from, using the most tax efficient strategy to get that income. But we also look at your expenses, your debts, we look at goal setting and how you can remain accountable in your financial plan. We look at, do you need insurance? Do you have planned giving? Do you have legacy needs? And this is just a small list of at least 50 things that we run through with our.
Yeah, we've got a retirement planning checklist we use to go through our financial planning process, and it's really extensive. And we started changing the name of a financial plan because really, and I learned this early in my career, that financial plans, the old days, before I got into helping families with their finances, the old days, you get a financial plan, and a fancy financial advisor would put together a plan for you and gave you a nice leather-bound notebook with lots of charts and graphs, and tell you good luck. And the plan was out of date before I got into my car downstairs, right?
Yeah.
And so we have designed our financial plans to be more dynamic. We almost call them financial preparedness plan, because stuff happens, right?
Yes, it does.
Nobody plans for 8.5% inflation, right? We have to model things based on historical inflation, which has been around 2.6%. So right now we're having to scramble around saying, okay, if we continue to have this inflation like this, how does this impact people's retirement? Having to update that stuff. So really, it's for retirement planning is very complex, very complex. There are a lot of moving parts and pieces, and they're constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why one reason you need to talk to a financial professional. It could be us. Call us here on the show, 452-1120. It needs to be a competent financial professional. We recommend certified Kingdom advisors that you can find through kingdomadvisors.com, kingdomadvisors.com. There are many in the area, myself being one, but those financial advisors and financial planners that look at the world through the lens of biblical wisdom. Mm-hmm. And I can't stress that enough, because a lot of folks that, may be Christian, but don't quite understand all the wisdom that the Bible offers to financial planning, maybe doing what the industry tells them to do, and that's fine. But you really want someone that help guide you through that journey, because this is a big, important part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a chance to really plan for the future and making an impact on the kingdom.
Let's talk for a minute about what needs to happen on the individual's end in terms of a financial plan, because you said many times in that last phrase you were saying that we're guiding, and as the advisor, you're there to support them, guide them, help them make decisions. That means that a lot of information and decisions are going to be made on the individual client, whatever side you want to call it. But there's lots of different information sources that people bring to us. What are some of the things that people need to do?
Well, I think one of the most important things, and it seems so simplistic, and if you're listening to us today, you're going to sit there in your car or wherever you're listening, and you're just going to say, duh. But so many people don't have it. And that is a spending plan. What's your budget? And 95% of the folks that we work with do not have a clue what they're spending every month. That's okay. You're like everybody else.
Then
right?
that will be the first thing that we'll walk through with you, because a really solid budget, in my opinion, is the base of a really good retirement plan.
Yeah, because if we don't know what we're spending, I can't answer the question of, do I have enough?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have enough? If you ask me that, Jesse, what am I going to do? I'm going to put my arms up, shrug my shoulders like, I don't know. I don't know. You don't know how much you're spending. So that's so critical to financial planning is just really, what are you spending? And as we've shared here on the show many times, I don't care where you spend your money.
Mm-hmm.
It's your money. God's entrusted it to you to steward, not me. He's entrusted it to you to steward well.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to know what you're spending. That's the first step towards good, sound, biblical stewardship, is just simply knowing, where am I spending my money?
Right.
Okay. And so that's critical. The other one is, Jesse, you have to look at all your different income sources in retirement. Just go talk about a couple of those.
Well, what a lot of people come to us and they have multiple different buckets saved up, and they want to know, which bucket do I pull from? I have some cash laying around. Should I spend that down? I have my IRA. That's qualified retirement funds. Those are designed specifically to be income in retirement. So that's a great place to pull income from. Maybe, everybody who worked and has enough credits is going to collect Social Security. So that's, if you qualify for it, that's a guaranteed income stream that you can rely on.
That's indexed to inflation. That's nice.
It is indexed to inflation. It might
Jesse,
not be.
I'm gonna quiz you, Jesse. How many different ways are there for a married couple to draw their Social Security benefits? How many different options? I'm
gonna say 10,000.
That's you're closer than most folks. Most people guess 3.
Okay.
The answer is actually 22,000 different ways to draw your Social Security benefits. Okay.
Right.
Now, which one's right for you? Well, we got to talk about that, because that source of income, Social Security makes up almost a little over a third of all retirees' retirement income.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to maximize that. So we talked about savings. We talked about Social Security. Anything else you can think of?
Well, if you have some sort of a other payment plan, like a pension through work, if you work for the state, or if you work for, maybe you were a teacher, there's lots of professions that provide a pension.
Right. And a lot of people don't realize, since there's a dramatic shift in the 70s towards the responsibility of retirement to be on the individual, not the employer, but there's still, the state of Texas, the teacher retirement system, all offer some type of pension for retirees. But what a lot of retirees fail to overlook and plan for is the fact that in most cases, the pension monthly annuity amount that they receive when they retire is probably what they're going to be getting when they are 20 years older. And I can count on one hand the number of cost of living adjustments that retired teachers have received in the state of Texas since I've been alive. Okay. And Jesse says I'm old every day. What?
I said, seems kind of unfair to me, but a lot of these pension plans don't have as deep of pockets as the federal government.
That's right. So So you have to plan for those sources of income. How are they going to react to different scenarios in life with high inflation, maybe low interest rates or higher rising interest rates? You got to make sure that you're prepared. That those are all part of that. But Jesse, you touched on something just a minute ago that's really important, and that's what we call the silent killer. The silent killer and the ticking time bomb. The silent killer is inflation. The ticking time bomb for a lot of retirees are taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a nightmare waiting to happen if you don't prepare for it. And one of those big things is your taxes may actually be higher in retirement than they were when you're working. And I know you're listening right now and you're thinking, wait, what? That can't be. The reality is that can happen because Uncle Sam wants you starting at age 72, wants you to start taking withdrawals from those retirement accounts. They're called required minimum distributions. And it may
get paid.
Yeah, Uncle Sam wants to get paid. And so, that may impact your taxes tremendously. And there's a number of strategies that you can use to combat that and reduce that tax liability, but you have to plan ahead. It's not something you can do right the day before you retire. You need to be talking to a professional. You can give us a call anytime during the week at 800-491-4508, 800-491-4508. Jesse, we got a program coming up here in about 20 minutes.
Yes, we do.
Just our deep dive. Why don't you tell our listeners how to find that?
Yeah, just log in to your web browser or your smartphone and go to spendlifewell.com. You'll see a tab there called Events, or you can go to spendlifewell.com/events. And then all you have to do is click on the event and register, and then it'll show you how to join live here in about 20 minutes. We'll start the program live. And if you can't make it in the next 15 minutes, then sign up and we'll send you a recording of it. And you can watch it whenever you get a moment to yourself.
Great. So spendlifewell.com. Folks, retirement planning is a journey. It's not just something you can go buy. You have to prepare for it. We're going to sign off for today. We thank you for listening to the Spend Life Well Show. Next week, got a special program, special guest, Jerry Boyer. We'll be talking about his book, The Makers versus the Takers. And that should be a fun time for the program. We look forward to seeing you next week on the Spend Life Well Show. Have a wonderful day.